The fourth version of the racket of the most decorated player in history is finally here, because Fernando Belasteguín has a new racket, the Wilson Bela Pro V3. It has many changes compared to the previous version, and there's one I absolutely love. In fact, I asked Bela about it directly and he gave me his opinion. So how does the Wilson Bela Pro V3 really perform? How has it evolved compared to all the previous versions? Hello players, I'm Paulo and I welcome you to a new 4Set. Bela retired as a professional player at the end of last season after winning 230 titles over a 30-year career. But now Bela is more involved than ever in the development of his racket, even in retirement.
Lo que pasa es que mientras jugaba tenía tiempo para dedicarle a la colección y los volvía locos, yo diciéndole cosas que quería mejorar, lo que había visto, lo que no. Ahora que tengo más tiempo, saben que el teléfono y les puede llegar un mensaje un domingo a las 10 de la noche o un sábado a las 6 de la mañana cuando me levanto a tomar mate, pero bueno, es mi forma de entender mi profesión. Ya lo hice adentro de la cancha a nivel profesional y ahora quiero continuar haciéndolo afuera.
But this new Bela racket is preceded by 3 earlier versions. And is this really the best one yet? Well, Bela knows exactly what he wants.
Es la cuarta edición de tu Wilson Bela Pro. ¿Dirías que es la mejor hasta ahora?
Sí, porque si por mi forma y mi filosofía de ver la vida, si no vas mejorando todo el tiempo es porque estás haciendo algo mal. Para mí no hay duda que es la mejor paleta que hemos hecho. Quiero que siga teniendo mucho de mi esencia. Desde que hemos empezado con Wilson, yo les dije las características que tenía que tener.
But if we go back in time, some of you might remember Bela signing with Wilson in 2020 and starting off with an all-black racket. It was in early 2021 that the Wilson Bela Pro V1 was unveiled, and actually I remember thinking it looked the most premium racket I've ever seen when I first saw it. The roughness pattern was the best Wilson had ever achieved in my opinion. It had a shorter grip length than the current model, which I preferred. In my opinion, the design was stunning, though brand visibility was not the best. And from that V1 we moved to the boldest of them all, the V2. And I promise you, when first I saw it, I thought I was looking at an unfinished prototype. But no, Wilson and Bela went all in one, a completely new look. With almost no branding, later on you could spot it as Bela's racket from a mile away. Because in my opinion it was the most distinctive racket on tour. But it also has its downsides, because they are a string draw handle system that I really didn't like. They used Bela's A logo as the roughness pattern, which was less noticeable than the V1s. And they also made the grip factory thicker and the racket softer. But for the V2.5 they reverted the handle system to the old style and increased brand visibility. But now the V3 has been refined and is more complete than ever. So what's new in the Wilson Bela collection? Well, as with previous lines, there are 3 versions for different players: the Pro, the Standard and the LS. The Pro version, the one Bela uses, is the most expensive and technical. It costs 280 euros at padel market with the code 4Set, which also supports the channel. But all 3 versions share the same new hybrid mode, featuring 2 big changes. First, the plastic insert in the heart of the racket from the V2 and V2.5 has been removed. And second, the frame channels have been reinforced. They have also updated the roughness pattern on all 3 models. That is my favorite change, because now the racket has 3D and sandy roughness, just like the D5 Pro. Regarding the carbon fiber, the Pro version uses 24K for the first time, and Wilson says this is the stiffest in Wilson's lineup. And now all 3 models uses the power foam. This Pro version is the heaviest at 370 grams, though all 3 share a 26.5 cm balance. But how hard is the new Bela Pro V3? Well, check out the difference versus the V2.5. And what about ball output? Well, look at the contrast across all Bela Pro editions. Then there are the Bela V3 and LS V3 with sleek twists. The main changes are face material and weight. The Bela V3 uses 3K carbon instead of 24K, and the LS adds comfort flex, while the Bela V3 is 5 grams lighter than the Pro and the LS is 15 grams lighter. But everything else, roughness, grip size, etc. is identical. But obviously you can still feel differences in hardness, as you can see. And also you can feel the difference in the ball output. And finally, for the most curious, the sound. Here's how the Bela Pro V3 sounds. Here's the Bela V3. And here's the Bela LS V3. But now it's time to see how the Bela Pro V3 plays on court, because a lot of people have a hand in it.
Por eso te decía, es muy lindo trabajar con el equipo Wilson, porque ellos con el conocimiento de formación, yo con el conocimiento de profesión y de sensaciones, vamos haciendo intercambio de información. Yo les digo, siento esto y quiero esto, y ellos me dicen, bueno, podemos conseguirlo con esto y con esto. Bueno, vamos haciendo prueba y se llega a lo que hoy están viendo.
But first off, I tested it with the factory grip because its size is just about perfect. If I added another grip, the handle would become too bulky. So what I'll do the next time is I will remove the factory grip and add 2 other grips. That is my usual setup. Also consider that I've played with it in a very hot conditions. That made the racket softer and the ball extra lively, especially on smashes. But on defense, the V3 Pro feels much more comfortable than the V2.5, mainly thanks to the larger sweet spot. Maneuverability is similar, but no matter how you swing, the sweet spot is perfect. And even though it's the heaviest of the 3, the balance is not too head-heavy, so it's still fairly easy to maneuver. Despite the heat and the racket being a bit softer, I could still hit with authority. So in normal temperatures the feel should be excellent. At the net, I noticed the biggest improvement from the new roughness, and actually I absolutely love it, something Bela emphasized heavily.
Y acá está comprobado, nosotros hemos hecho muchas pruebas y la rotación de la pelota es mucho mayor con esta forma y con este feeling que con la anterior, y para nosotros era un punto importante, y no porque lo decimos, sino porque en el banco de pruebas
es un hecho.
Los números han dado que la pelota gira mucho más con este tipo de cara de paleta.
Dato mata relato.
Para mí ha sido siempre así.
At the same time, you can feel the ball when you need to hit it with power, but also sits up perfectly when you just need to place it. It is true that you don't feel this racket like super aggressive, but you won't miss any power. The whole concept behind the new Bela is versatility, and it truly delivers. And actually Bela explained it like this.
Y es una paleta que sigue manteniendo la esencia mía, por el hecho de que no queríamos tener ni una paleta de defensa, ni una paleta solo de ataque, una paleta con el juego mío. Yo te aparecía en la red y te aparecía en el fondo durante el punto todo el tiempo, así que es una paleta súper equilibrada.
On bandejas and víboras, I felt most comfortable thanks to the roughness and the sweet spot. Remember that Bela's flat bandeja was one of his trademark shots, and whether by suggestion or not, it just feels natural. However, when it comes to smashes, I have mixed feelings. Even though the hit, a bit more weight in the head would help more. So if I had to rate it, I will give 55% of control and 45 power. And you feel that same balance on defense, because despite weighing 370 grams, it moves and accelerates well overhead. In fact, the difference on smashes between the Bela V3 Pro, the standard, and the LS V3 was barely noticeable. So Pablo, what score would you give the Wilson Bela Pro V3? Well, in my opinion, I think it's a genuine evolution over the previous Bela Pro. It is true that it's a bit softer with a larger sweet spot and a better roughness. It is very well balanced, but more control oriented than power oriented. So if you want a mid to hard racket with great roughness, a slightly head heavy weight, and a big sweet spot, the Wilson Bela Pro V3 could be your racket. But now, what do you think of Bela's new racket? Leave your opinion in the comments, and thank you so much for watching the video. See you in the next one. Ciao!